The best deal Thursdays. Hello, welcome to the Froggy Five. I'm your host, Jim Froehlich, founder and managing partner of Froggy Companies. And today I'm privileged to be joined by Jason Yarusi. So now I want to ask you about something that's worked out really good. Obviously, you've had several projects go really well, but if you can either share a strategy or a specific project that you would say, like, we were out of our mind about it. It went so well, and we're very happy with how everything clicked on it. Or it could have been a creative strategy used.
We've had, a number have gone well, but I'll just say, to get to a formatted plan, it's basically as simple as we go into a place that's not really performing well, whether it's on the property's not, in good shape or it's just not being run well, right? Usually both. And we make it a better place to live, which makes tenant happier, which makes them pretty much pay more rent because they're happier, right? Which creates more revenue for the property, which creates a bigger bottom line, which creates better returns for our investors. So we simply do that, which we'll go in there and we'll change the face, whether we'll put on new marketing, we'll paint the buildings or do something exterior or do landscaping, just the finish on the outside, because you have to have a nice outside, even if the units are the best thing in the front. If it's a bad experience when you show up, that usually taints the tenant's mind by the time they're even getting to these fantastic units. So, we had a project here in town, we brought it for $8.9 million. We actually got the owner to be the lender. So the owner held the note because he had built it in 1965, and he held the note. So he held the note because he had very low basis on it, and for $6.1 million. We had a fixed term on it, so 8.9. We did 91 of the 93 units we renovated in the course of the year. When we took it over, the guy had basically no debt on it, so he didn't care really the cash flow. So he was charging like $570 of rent, and I think he was paying for the internet at the time. He was doing a lot of things that you just didn't match the market. So we just made it uniform to the market, started renovating units. We actually had to go and pretty much replace all the tenant base, because the tenants, if you had a heartbeat and had just killed someone yesterday, you were fine. Just come on in, right? He would take anybody. So we basically had to take the building, because we were the bad building in the block, transform the entire tenant base. And really our effective rents today are $1,100 to I think $1,179. And the property appraised at $16.5 million about a year ago. Oh, wow. So big transformation on that property.
And you're holding it? Is your strategy to hold overall? You're really
no, not all of them. This one was a unique one that was set up for this. So let's say about 80% of them are set on a syndication where there's a term to them, and the other 20% have some longevity to them.
Okay, wow, that's a great story and a great margin. Yeah, we had one that I was co-GP on out in Mesa, Arizona, of a similar size, not quite as much of a margin, but it was still 35-40% return in 2 years from flipping that over, from doing a similar process. We only used $1 million to $1.5 million in renovations. On that note of a great deal like that, in mentioning the tenant base, I have a buddy here in New Hampshire who's built a lot of units, not as many units as you have, because we're more scattered and small than say what you could get if you're trying to focus it just in your geographic area. But he's had some negative press recently he's had to deal with. And it really goes something like this, that somebody in that tenant base that was used to getting $500 rent because they're just living in a crap hole and nobody's doing anything, gets very angry because someone has come in and cleaned up and then, raised the rent. And then they get a voice, because everybody gets a voice nowadays with press and everything. So there was just this long article written. So I was joking about it, sending him little images of people that were protesting against him. And he's like, I just want to make that go away. Have you had to deal with that, or what's your perspective on dealing with this? Because it's just it seems like a hard thing to deal with. Just go
it gets back if you're making it a better place to live, if I just came in there and didn't do anything, and I just raised the rents $400 or $500, then that's one thing. But if I'm actively trying to make it a better, which I'm sure that guy is too, right? A better place, okay. You can say what you want here, but the building is not improved. Now we're trying to fix things and make it a better place to live. And that's simply the message. You can't flower it more than that. It is as is. And if you're not happy, then move somewhere else. I'm sure there's another place out there that is, but usually they can't move anywhere else because this was the place that was really bad. And we're just making it not bad like the other ones, right? We're making it a better place.
Yeah, certain arguments you can't, certain logic you can't make everybody happy, and I guess that's probably the bottom line with that message. And there are a segment of people, because I've run across it in my inbox over and over, because I get deals all the time, as I'm sure you do, day after day. Most of them don't pencil out. But a few years back, when we were considering more value add, I would have these very cosmetic, like, hey, all we got to do is this, and these are below market rents, and we're going to immediately jack it up. And I think that is probably where people get a little pissed off, right? Like,
well, it doesn't always work too. I remember like the brokers forever were like, all you have to do is just put in a dog park and you can just raise the rents $300. And they'd be like, what is this? What is this? But you would see it like over and over, just add a dog park. And they'd be like, what is going on?
Nonsense.
That is not a business plan, guys.
Yeah. So my final question in an area, Jason, that I hope you just shed some light on in terms of your perspective and experience is regarding financing. It sounds like that last really good deal, you had an owner take back a lot in the form of a note, which seems to be working great. Like, there's an uptick in that given what's happening right now. Inflation, people with notes ballooning, bridge loans coming due. What do you... Hey, thanks for having me on. If anybody else wants to find out more about what we're doing, please come to froggycompanies.com. Check out our 3 different business areas. It's great talking to you, and see you next time.